Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back from the ad break. You are still watching Prime Life. Now, my next guest is Philip Scott, who is joining us on Zoom, and he's a graduate from Texas who has earned his bachelor's in theology. He's built a substantial following with his inspiring, knowledgeable, and optimistic messages shared through his YouTube program, which is called the African Diaspora News Network. Now, Scott's mission is to inform, inspire, and entertain his listeners through engaging discussions on a variety of topics. Now, what's interesting is that he has over 550 million YouTube views and 1 million subscribers, and he is clearly accomplished in that mission. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Philip Scott, and welcome to Prime Life.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Now, what inspired you to create the African Diaspora News Network and to take on such a significant mission?
Well, really what got me going was, I never liked what was covered in the mainstream and never covered our community. The first time I kind of seen some news network like that was a long time ago when they used to have BET News and Bob Johnson owned it. But I never seen nothing like that since. So I say, you know what, let me try to create something to give my take on it and just let's see how it goes. Because there are people throughout the world that not only in America, our story is never told. Nobody want to know about our concerns. So we want to create a platform. Even way back then, it was just me by myself. Let's create something that the community would appreciate.
Now, that's very, very inspirational. I mean, you cover a range or diverse range of topics on the channel. Are there any topics particularly that you find challenging to discuss? If so, how do you navigate such discussions?
I don't really feel that anything that we discuss on the channel is challenging. I think more so, could we make anything that we take culturally relevant to the audience and also the people throughout the world? Will they get the proper story from us coming from Black America and also through our African journalists or our Caribbean journalists? Will it really resonate with the people throughout the world? So really for us, that's the challenge. Just making sure that we stay culturally relevant and getting the proper stories out.
And just before we get into the channel itself, can you maybe tell us more about your background in theology and how it influences your approach to discussing current events?
Yeah, sure. I grew up, it was my shout out to my grandmother and grandfather, may they rest in power. They always took us to church. We went to Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Port Arthur, Texas, and Reverend Simmons. And, we always grew up in the church. And so that kept me grounded. And so when I got a little older, and then I said, I wanted to learn a little bit more about Scripture. So I got a theology degree. And how does that benefit me today? I can pull from those experiences in our Black American culture, because the church is part of our culture. And I can maybe say certain scriptures to them, maybe certain sayings out the church that connects us with cultural relevance. And that's really some of the bridge I use. And, of course, certain scriptures are very important, whether they come from the Bible or maybe even some that come from the Quran or, we're willing to use whatever it takes to reach our people.
I mean, that's great. And in terms of the channel itself, tell us about the inception. When did it start?
Well, for us, and for me in particular, I think I started taking it a little bit more serious back in 2012. That's when I really started taking it more serious. And I wanted to take it serious because I saw where the landscape was going. I like that the media gatekeepers that you have, in the major networks, that with this advent of social media and we can create our own lane, is that now we are going toward the future. And now you fast forward to 2025. And nobody even pays attention to mainstream media like that. People rather listen to someone, on TikTok, maybe someone like myself or many others, over the corporate lords in the mainstream media that has nothing good to say about any community, to be honest with you. And they like to keep up a lot of division, and platforms like ours and many others out there who's doing the same thing. We're touching the people. We're the true grassroots media, and that's what people appreciate.
And just, in terms of the topics that you cover? I mean, also you have a sense of responsibility given the large following that you have. Are there any, I mean, is there any certain standard, or do you cater to a certain, audience? Do you have any target audience that you cater every time you, release a video or talk on specific topics?
Yes, we cater to our community. It is here in America. We cater to the African continent. We cater to the Caribbean. Anywhere where people of African descent are located, that's our base. That's who we cater to. We're not pivoting from that. We're not changing that. We are the culture. Everybody else is interested in what we're talking about as the culture. We've seen people make mistakes of trying to quote unquote cross over. You don't have to cross over. There's enough stories right here that we need to cover. And we're going to cover them every day, and we're going to stay culturally relevant due to that. And people all over the world have told me they have appreciated about our platform is that we're staying grounded and connected in the community.
I mean, that's actually very beautiful. And for someone that has never maybe seen the channel or listened to any of the content that you provide, can you maybe give us an example of a story or a specific topic that you have tackled on the channel?
Well, right now we're covering the story out of Los Angeles, California, with the riots that's going on. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are seeing about that on the news. It's all over. The Immigration, Custom, and Enforcement is going to deport people who are in our country illegally, and some people feel that they have a right to be here even though they're here illegally, and they're fighting against the government. So we're covering that story because a lot of the people there want to say, well, why don't black Americans come and unite with us against the government? Like, no, we're not doing it because we told you a long time ago about how the government really is and how some people are racist in this country, and you want to join with the racists. So we're saying this, you do that on your own. And some people don't like that take. But you won't hear that take the way we're speaking about it on your CNN or MSNBC or Al Jazeera, etc.
And just extending on that, with such a huge or large following, you might, sometimes experience backlash, maybe sometimes some people could feel like a certain topic or discussions are controversial. Have you experienced that? If yes, how did you manage that?
Well, as a black person, every day you live is controversial. So what is controversy at this point? If you speak a certain way, it's controversial. If you're quiet, it's controversial. You can ask a person that's an introvert. They'll tell you that. So for me, it's every day that we live as black people is controversy. So it's nothing that I look at, I say, or others say that's controversial. I'll just say we living in our truth. And if the truth is controversial to you, that's your problem. It's not mine.
That's very well said. Now, in terms of the channel itself, African Diaspora News has proven to, do well. You have, inspired many. Just in question, where to next? Where do you see it in the next 5 years, or what is the mission moving forward to make it bigger?
Oh, well, the mission is to grow and expand and take over the world. That's always the mission, right? But realistically, in particular, South Africa, we're definitely going to, establish a studio there. We have great reporters in South Africa that's been doing great work. And we want to build upon that and maybe, expand to more reporters in South Africa in particular. We want to make expansions in Nigeria, expansions in Kenya. That's the 3 places we want to make some expansions in, of course, in America and also through the Caribbean. Jamaica in particular, we like to make some expansions there. So we're looking to grow and expand. And that's all, the plan is. Of course, create new shows and for our African Diaspora News Channel app, because we have an app that we're growing every day. And so we definitely want the app to get up to 100,000 members. That's also something we're looking forward to eventually. So it's always just growth and really much blessing that we're looking at.
No, that's very, very inspirational. And you just mentioning that you've got, reporters all over. If I'm hearing you correctly, that means that the mission of, the platform itself is just to unite Africans as a whole and make sure that the stories are being told. Now, before we let you go, Mr. Philip, is there anything that you'd like to say to our, viewers at home that may be watching right now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would like to say, make sure you check us out on the African Diaspora News Channel. We are a daily platform, and we have a lot of great reporters right there in South Africa as well. and also throughout the world here in America, the Caribbean. And we definitely always looking for more people to come join us. If you're interested and maybe could fit in with our program, we also appreciate, this network for taking time to, interview with us. You can download our African Diaspora News Channel app, if you're interested in finding out the content that maybe you couldn't see on the YouTube platform. It's in the Google Play and Apple App Store. We also take people to the African continent as well as tours. So, we do, the tourism people probably will like us a little bit. We just recently took 28 people to Ethiopia recently in April. So we got a Ghana trip coming up as well. So, look out for us.
And just before I let you go, I know I said that was the last question. In terms of, we're moving into a digital era and everything is changing in terms of news reporting and, how people perceive and receive news. How do you see that affecting the platform, and what are you planning on integrating into the platform to make sure that you are you're staying up to trend and you are, making sure that people are still receiving the content that you share?
Well, the digital network is beautiful. We recently just launched an AI news network called AfroWire AI, where all our journalists there are AI. And that's something we just started actually last week, and that launch is great. So we definitely on the cutting edge with AI now. Of course, AD&C will always be human, but we also want to make sure to integrate artificial intelligence in everything that we're doing. So in the area of digital media, that's really the future, and that's now. That legacy media stuff, nobody really pays attention to, especially the younger people. And there's a lot of younger people in the African continent. They really look at their cell phone than look at a TV. And you got to be on people's cell phone. That's just bottom line.
Mr. Philip, thank you so much for joining us on Prime Life and just for sharing your journey and also just giving us more insight on the platform itself. This was definitely a very meaningful conversation. So thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Viewers at home, that was Mr. Philip Scott, who was just talking to us about, his journey, but most importantly, the platform, the African Diaspora News, and how they plan on growing it, and, what it stands for, and also just covering the inspiration behind it. But without wasting any time, let's go to a quick ad break. We will see you right after this. Stay tuned.